Hello, Galaxy. Chris Pirillo here for another live edition of the Locker Room Daily Report, or TLDR for short. We've been geeking out 24/7, including right now, because that's a part of the 24/7 general time frame. A 24/7 geek out, 24/7 chance for you to talk tech, 24/7 chance for you to join the virtual arcade, play some video games. If you're into video games, maybe you just want to talk about PCs. Fine, you can do that too. Maybe you just want general tech. Maybe you're thinking about a smartphone. Okay, yeah, that's fine. 3D printing? Absolutely. Although you need to be reminded that we also have MakerDeck serving you 24 hours a day on Twitch as well. So thank you for joining live.pirillo.com. Thank you for joining the Discord server to get push notifications, because you go to the events category on Discord, and when we have a scheduled event like TLDR every night at 7 p.m. Pacific, you can say I'm interested. And then you'll get a push notification saying, okay, it's live. So you'll know exactly where to go, when to go, and all that. In a couple of days, for those who are listening, not just live, but potentially in the archive, we're going to be doing a Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1 spoiler talk. And with that, a Visa $50 gift card giveaway. Now, that's global for whatever. I mean, you could wherever they take Visa, you could use it. So this is what they've given me to give away. Happy to do it. We'll be drawing one recipient from the pile of participants that day. I'll make sure I get the information out, of course, at least on Discord. And then I don't know if I'm going to be teasing it, beyond that. I got the newsletter out already, so it's a little too late. That ship has sailed. But anyway, so that's what's coming up, as well as the regular TLDRs. Going to jump right into it. I'm joined tonight with an array of virtual characters here. We've got Glendon, Sinoop, and others playing various games. Of course, sometimes it's difficult to game and talk at the same time. I guess I found out that I can do that with Tetris. I can talk about something and play Tetris. That I can do. But something else, I don't know if I have the kind of like talking and chewing gum at the same time. Not sure if I have that skill set yet. I can hone it. It'll be finely honed. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. We're going to jump into the tech news, starting with probably the biggest announcement of the day, and that is I got 5 followers on my Star Wars Radar TikTok account that I set up yesterday. I'm up to 5 now, which is just breakneck speed. I move over. I'm now a Star Wars influencer. This is my title now. I'm Star Wars. Come on, 5?
Yeah.
Who gets that high within a day? I mean, you can get high within a day as long as it's legal in your state. But this is the state of Washington, so everything's fine. Everything's above board. The big news isn't that. The big news is Microsoft rolled out a new update to Windows 11 and a smattering of new features that, on their own, not really that big a deal, but I appreciate Microsoft rolled everything up and basically just baked it into this into a single update and pushed it down the pike. I was able to install it right away. The first thing I noticed was specifically probably their flagship feature. They now have a search bar, a Bing search bar on the taskbar, and I turned it off immediately. Not because I didn't find it potentially useful, but it's weird to have the search bar there and next to the start menu that also has search, but that search is different. Microsoft is already cluttering up Windows 11. And just when I thought everything was going to be fine again and they were going to clean up the experience, they go and do something like this. I got no problem with the search bar. But the problem, again, like I said, is under the start menu, there's another search bar. And these experiences seem to be disjointed. What? So I understand a Bing button to totally get that. And you can even toggle the search bar just to be the button if you want. But I turned it off, not just because of that, but because the search bar, at least the way that I was pulling up Windows, was flashing. Like it would do that. It would flash. I don't like those. That's just, it to me, just reeks of sloppiness. So I turned it off entirely. And yeah, not going to happen. Not going to play with it. It's off. But this is the new Bing with AI. Their big AI thing. A big AI push. It's now on Windows 11 desktops. We'll see just how many people actually use it. And I don't know. Do you have any feelings? And I'm not going to ask this particular opinion for every feature that we're going to run down here. Any particular feelings one way or another about this, Glendon?
Not really. I'm not a Bing user. As far as AI goes, if I need anything, I go to ChatGPT. So
yeah, that's me.
Doesn't really affect me much.
We definitely have heard what Bing has been doing. It's been very abusive. apparently, and I guess that's the way it's trained. And so I was kind of afraid of turning things off. I was afraid that it would get mad at me, and say, "What are you doing?" Like it could happen. That is entirely possible. It is plausible. I'm going to bring up Monsoon Josh here, and we've got. I'm going to take down Lockdown for the moment because we're full up, which is a wonderful thing to see. Yeah, I think Bing hates me, even though I like Bing. I have no problem with Bing. Sinu, how do you feel?
Well, isn't it kind of confusing to have like a couple different spots to have search and like it's another one of these things where it's like, are you guys siloed and not talking to each other? And like, why wouldn't that all be in one? I like the one-stop shopping. Like, what is like a regular user, like how are they gonna know like which search to use for what? And I mean, once they figure it out, I guess, right? But it's just like you say, it's sloppy, and I don't like it.
Yeah, and just when I thought, like I said, Windows was getting cleaner, they did something like this. I'm like, why?
How are they ever going to get cleaned up with anything? They start doing this stuff, right?
Even the start menu itself, I got to tell you, the more I use it, the more I hate it. Like, I'm serious. Like, after using, I mean, I don't like interfacing with the start menu to begin with, but at least with Mac OS, I hide all that stuff. I don't see it. I don't interface with a lot of it. And even when I do, it doesn't look cluttered. And Windows is basically cluttering itself again.
The start menu for me is not as bad. It's at least going in the better direction than like Windows 10 was terrible with the tiles, and Windows 8 was like, let's not even think about that at all.
I didn't mind 10's tiles. The tiles actually I appreciated more than the
just made it very large to me. Like I just want to be able to kind of pin stuff up. Yeah. After what the H2 20 or 22 H2 update, they allowed so that you could have more pin stuff, and then the recommended. They still don't let you turn off recommended altogether.
I know.
I hate that.
Yep.
It's wasted real estate in my eyes, and I'm just like, just give me another row or two of more pinned icons, and that's where I've put a lot of stuff. However, again, you can pin things to your taskbar, so it's like, where do you want to go? Under the start menu to get stuff, or do you want to put it right on the taskbar? Or it's
mystery meat. It's guessing. It's like, hey, wherever you want. You want it here, you can have it. You want it there, I'll slap it there. There you go. You want it, there you go. You have it. You got it.
They're slowly trying to make their bar into something like it. They still go from end to end. They won't let it kind of float there in the middle, like Linux, and of course Apple's had it forever, and Linux has had it now too. With their various desktops of choice, but Windows still wants that whole bar to go all the way across. I don't mind the little weather icon on the corner, but it should be so that you can get rid of it. But I don't like that when you hover your mouse over it, just comes up. That's intrusive as well. I want to be able to click when I want to do that, not if I move my mouse to the side and that. Now, having such a large screen that I'm working on right now, larger screens, it's not really that much of a problem. But when you're working with like laptops, like the laptop size or whatever, I find it a little bit intrusive because I'll just push the icon aside and then boop, up comes the window, right? It's like, oh man, quit with the opening windows with the hover.
We've got fighting words. Printed Visions wants us to just go back to MS-DOS, and Red says go back to Vista. Ooh. Man, that's tough. And by the way, I'm sorry, Red's still on Windows 10, but Printed Vision's looking for a way to turn it off. Right-click the taskbar, open up taskbar options, and then this is what I did: taskbar settings. Sorry, and then search the first option. You can have it set to hide.
Yeah, I even did that with the weather. I didn't even want the weather down there.
Everything since Windows 10, and they're doing the same thing with Windows 11. Actually, some stuff went backwards, and they're slowly bringing it in. Is just everything's on the go to update, but nothing's ever kind of done. Like the right-click context menu in Windows 11 is terrible because it's hidden everything. It's only brought a few things over with the new look, and then you go down to more options or whatever it is, and then there's where the rest of your context.
I changed that in the registry.
Yeah, I just actually did that again today on my work PC because there were just certain things I'm just like, this is an extra click that I don't need. Either bring in the new feature or leave it old until you're ready to bring in everything, because this right click and it's not there, and then it's really not done that. And then again, you can open up the box here. I can go on and on a bit all night, but you know, the whole thing was settings and versus the control panel, and how there's still, you know, you're working in settings, but then you can't find the certain setting you're doing, but it's because it's still not been ported over, so you have to go to control panel anyway.
I'm waiting.
Control panels.
I'm waiting. I can't. I mean, they're going this direction, and I want them to get there sooner rather than later. I keep saying, you know, it is improving. They're iterating, but like this is where I feel it's like,
how long does it take them though? Oh my God.
You're asking me. I mean, like, to me, they should be done with the cruft within a year. I mean, in my humble,
yeah, like,
right? Like,
focus on that, right? Like,
so
you have teams working on different things, right? For sure. Like, they have the people that are doing the security patches and stuff anyway, but hire more feature people then and get it done.
Get it done.
Like, Windows 10 just started to show the whole new, you know, kind of stuff with settings, and it's just been since then. That's like what Windows 10 was released in 2015, and we're in 2023, and we still got this hot mess where there's stuff in the control panel still that's not in settings, and it's just it's harder to find in Windows 11 if you're, you know, like.
And you know what? I'm not going to let Apple off the hook either. I mean, they're trying to iPadify Mac OS. Yeah. And they've done. I'm not going to say they've done an okay job, but that's not good enough. Like, it's a lot of the apps that they've iPadified are half-assed. That's the problem. They're half-assed. Yeah. And you know, for a company that's allegedly, well, we're all about design and so, and like, no, they're not. I'm telling you, they're not. I mean, I will also say this: Mac OS is leap years like beyond where Windows is in terms of cohesiveness. I'll say that. And even with performance, and certainly with fit and finish, with polish. But CNOOP, I hope in another year we will have eliminated these legacy elements.
I'm not that optimistic. The way that they've been going is slow. And each iteration, like they're already showing, like there's beta versions to start seeing what the what is it, the 23 H2 or whatever stuff is out. And of course they're not showing everything yet, but it's not. It still looks like it's baby steps, and I just don't know where it's ever going to end. Like, it surprised me when, in some ways it didn't, in some ways it did, but it's like Windows 10, you know, and then all of a sudden they announced Windows 11, and it was like, but you're not done with Windows 10 getting it right. And now you've changed everything again, and it's still baby stepping to try to get to where it is. So it's just, it's a hot mess.
Well, they keep releasing new features, including this one, Phone Link for iOS. It's in preview. So this is interesting. It's not iMessage. It's not sanctioned by Apple, but they basically use a Bluetooth connection between your iPhone and the PC. You can't see previous chats. You can't currently attach images, but you can basically interface with your phone, not using iMessage, but using this desktop app. So it's not Apple. Officially, I mean, Apple, my God. I mean, because when I first heard this, like, Phone Link for iOS, they've had Phone Link for Android. Android's had that support, you know, for a while now. And the software's even baked into Samsung phones. Not that I've ever used it, because I just don't, by default, I'm just not going to use Windows for this kind of stuff. It's just the interface just isn't there. The experience just isn't there for me. Still, for people that use iOS, this is kind of an interesting way of solving a problem, but kind of comes across as half-assed. I mean, they are working on a whole-assed solution with iCloud integration. That's something that's cool. Microsoft, if you missed the earlier announcement, they're going to be allowing easier access to your photos on your iPhone with iCloud integration. That's smart. That's the way to do it. I have no problem. That's like, okay, that's cool. That works, and it's officially sanctioned. But when you start slopping around with stuff like this, I can't imagine Apple not being upset about it. But at the same time, I'm not saying that Apple should move the direction of being more open with iMessage. Does that push them further down that path any more than if Google starts, you know, doing something else with something that Apple does? Is that going to push them further down the path of having to open up? Is that going to take government regulation? Do we have to count on the EU to push that forward too?
Good luck with that.
Well, it happened with USB-C.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not gonna write it off. I don't think that
that's just one country, right?
It's not healthy for the ecosystem for Apple to do what it's doing. What Apple's doing is basically tantamount to what Microsoft did in the 80s. everything that everyone slammed Microsoft for, Apple's doing the same thing.
Yep.
They're doing the same thing in a different way, but they're doing it's the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's lock-in. It's the playbook. So what happened with Microsoft? How'd that turn out? I think Apple's on a collision course with regulation. I really do.
And I foresee with inflation too that it's going to be harder for them to actually push their products when they're so expensive.
Well, but then it's software and updating software to run on a variety of prior iterations of the devices. Yeah. Intel Unison also links the iPhone to Windows. And again, disclosure, I currently work for Intel, but won't be working for Intel at the end of March. So that's true. I would love to see something like Unison for Android on Mac OS personally, because I don't really have a good way of interfacing my Android experience to Mac OS, and it sucks because I would love that. I would love the features and functionality. I can work around it by using like web-based apps, but it's not as cohesive as say living inside of like dedicated desktop software. Pink uses Phone Link as well for the S21 Ultra. I'm on the S23, and my S22, they received it and said they're not going to give me the full refund, but based upon it saying I had a cracked screen. When I sent it, I take care of things. I never had a cracked screen. I've never had anything reported saying that I had a cracked screen. They said, well, you can either take the 150 or we can send it back to you. And I'm like, send it back to me. So I'm going to see what condition it came in, because I sent that thing. I've never in my entire life of sending in devices ever have packed it improperly, or never have been in a position where the screen was broken on arrival, certainly. So I'll be interested in seeing what happens, when it arrives. I'm like, when I sent it, it wasn't like this. It was absolutely not like this. And it was packed so well. Nothing was moving in that package.
The person that unpacked it dropped it.
So even if they dropped it, it was padded. Like, I mean, there was no margin for error, right? Apart from the box being like absolutely beyond crunched.
Yeah, that was my question. How bad is the package
How
going
bad?
to look
Well, how
whenever
bad
you
is the
receive
screen
it?
crack? How bad is like
Yep.
it just didn't? So I don't know. I don't know any of that, but it's aggravating because I've never had that problem before. But I'm like, I basically
haven't
out
either.
350. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the gamble and say, send it back to me, and I'd like to see what happened. Because if it came back like completely crunched, I'm like, why? Like, this is just, I did not send the phone in like that. So, I didn't. I've never had a cracked screen on a Samsung device ever, and I sent it in perfectly clean. People saw it like days before. I mean, I didn't even take it out of the house.
I saw it whenever you boxed it up. Well, right before you did.
Yeah, it's asinine. Wait a minute. Did I think I put it did I put it in the box when I packed it? I might have. Further making it just weird that I packed it within the box, because I saved the boxes. I'm like, well, I'm not going to hold on to the box and just toss it. But I packed it in the box so it shipped clean. I packed it in the box. Even if I took a picture before sending it off, is like, it could be proven that, well, that's another picture. I packed it right here. No, I'm telling you, I packed it in the box that it came in at least in its original shipping container. I don't have that anymore. So
it'll be interesting to see how they pack it, sending it back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I packed it in the original box. I know I did because I pulled it down. Oh man. So yeah, I am curious. Speaking of Samsung, that's going to be my next curiosity. Microsoft's incorporating more advanced AI with video, it seems. Windows Studio Effects. Maybe interesting if you use Windows for video conferencing, and specifically their desktop version of Teams. Teams is getting an improvement, but by the time it gets to the improvement, I won't probably be using Teams anymore. So it's kind of like, well, at least for the time being. There's a new Quick Assist app that's been redesigned, so it's nice to see some of their first-party apps getting redesigned. This being one of them. Not that you use it all that often, but slowly but surely, they're getting there, eliminating cruff. I would just like, for what CNEUP was saying, I'd like to see that happen sooner rather than later. More news and information. More swipe away with widgets. I don't really use these at all. I find them to be kind of like in terms of performance, at least the way that I've used them, it drops frames. It's very laggy. The experience when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, but the performance wise, it's not great. So I don't use it. If the performance sucks, I typically don't use it. They've enhanced touch experiences. Screen recording now is an option within the snipping tool, and I do use the snipping tool. Tabs in Notepad, that was a leak that happened a while back. But, for me, tabs in Notepad is like 2 decades too late, because I ended up using other apps for that. Accessibility includes Braille support and voice access. New energy recommendations, making it easier to control the environmental
Braille
impact.
support. That's interesting.
What's that?
Braille support.
Yeah.
So is there some sort of device that
I'd imagine
creates the bumps or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to.
Interesting.
AI integrated to help find the files you need, recommended in the start menu. How that works is beyond me. You'll also find even more love in File Explorer from our fastest file ever file search to recommended local and cloud files right where you need them. Well, the search on every time I open up, I'll put it this way. Every time I open up the Windows Explorer and go to Recycle Bin, it loads and it loads and it loads and it loads and it loads. I mean, got a lot of stuff in Recycle Bin, I guess, but it's like it just takes forever.
Yeah, it may not automatically index. That's probably why. So it's indexing when you first open it, if you haven't opened it in a while.
But I mean, I have, and it takes forever. On Mac OS, it's like access your cloud PC with the new Windows 365 app. So if you have a cloud PC, although I can't imagine many of us having cloud PCs that we, I don't know if any of us really need it unless you're in IT. I'd imagine that's the primary use case, but that's baked in, and that's about it. That's the long and short. I mean, I'm sure there are other updates and bug fixes and security patches and what have you, but by and large, I would say that it was a relatively mundane update. Nothing seemingly got worse, so yay for that. Anything else to note before we move on? CNOOP and Glendon?
Better not, because I'll go on forever on it.
Fair enough. So that was Windows Update, Windows 11 Update Moment 2. Moving on, this is interesting. Qualcomm partnership teases smart camera sensors that would make blurry shots a thing of the past. So camera lag, right, has been an issue. This is not something that I think we're going to see in the next gen or maybe the gen after, but maybe 3 generations from now, 2 if we're lucky. What this particular application does, and again, this is now in conjunction with Qualcomm. There's a software called Prophecy that basically analyzes the scene and only does basically what it calls event-based metavision, and those sensors basically detect what's moving and what isn't. So it basically makes it such that the results are blur-free. And something like this kind of partnership is something that I've been waiting for ever since the smartphone. Ever since. Like eliminating blur, especially, with less than prime lighting conditions. So I thought that's probably the thing that annoys me most about smartphone photography is well, any kind of photography, honestly, is motion blur. Just annoying to me. Annoying as hell. Oh, it's just anger inducing because I'm like, I thought I had plenty of light.
Yeah.
Like I thought I had wide, especially kids or dogs or anything like that. Any kind of motion. This again may have come 10 years too late, but to see it basically with the announcement at Mobile World Congress, they're at least working on it. So knowing that it's coming down the pike is a huge win. Huge win. And I feel that's the best next leap in smartphone software is, all about AI and all this. I feel the next big leap is eliminating motion blur. That's where computational photography, I feel, will have not the pinnacle, but like that's the next big bragging point for any of these manufacturers saying. And now motion free or motion what would you call it? Yeah, motion-free photos, whatever you want to call it. Blur-free photos.
And would it have any threshold limitations to how fast something would be?
No idea. I mean, I'm sure that comes down to an algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm sure that just comes down to tweaking. Google upgrades Chrome, or updates. They just updated Chrome to match Safari battery life on the M2 MacBook Pro, at least on the M2. Now that trickles down; those power savings trickle down to other Macs as well, M1 as well. So what Google has done is eliminated unnecessary redraws, which could help. Saves on repaints, and saves raster and GPU steps. They also implemented similar optimizations for changes to the Chrome UI. So they optimized, right? They streamlined. And this is, again, something that's been baked into the shipping version of Chrome. So that is already available. So this, to me, was a huge win. I don't have an M2, but just knowing that they eliminated unnecessary redraws, that's where you get improvements without realizing you got an improvement.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything. When did they put that out?
I mean, you probably had it and you didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's that kind of. It's not an in-your-face like 50% improvement. It's very subtle improvements that more than anything help increase the power that the viability of power on battery. They also fine-tuned iframes, tweaked timers like with JavaScript, which is a big deal for CPU wake-up time. So they did a lot of optimizing, streamlining data structure. So this was a really nice update to hear about, a really good one actually. And this is with shipping version at least 110.x. So you likely already have it. That's not beta. That's not in the Canary branch. This is a shipping version of it, improving memory, improving power, improving everything across the board. So these are the kinds of improvements I love hearing about with software, especially Google Chrome, because A, I live in Chrome, and B, it's just good to increase possibility for competition. Another update here. If you didn't hear about Blue Sky, that was Jack Dorsey's idea of a social network back when he was at Twitter. It's now rolled out as an invite only on the App Store, the iOS App Store. Hadn't heard much about it though for a bit, but it's basically the idea is they're going to try to do something like Twitter but better. There has been some pushback, especially from those in the Fediverse, specifically us on Mastodon, which is already a decentralized alternative. Hang on, let me get that. Hello? Hello? Oh, they hung up. I don't know whose phone that was. That Glendon's?
No,
it wasn't mine.
Who? There's a ghost in the machine.
Apparently, because I don't have
a couple people I think that are not muted.
Last time I heard that kind of phone was in the when I worked at Pizza Hut. It sounded like a Pizza Hut phone.
Yeah.
So anyway, this now exists. Flipboard also, and there's a news article that I think Big Fan shared. Flipboard also announced plans for running on the ActivityPub standard, which is pretty quickly becoming the standard for decentralized social media. That's what Mastodon is based on, the ActivityPub. Tumblr has already announced support for it, or will be announcing support, as would Flickr. Medium is already on the Fediverse or in the Fediverse. So it's good to see, or it would be good to see, Blue Sky adapt ActivityPub as well, if they want to play along with decentralized media experiences. So I really feel like viable alternatives to Facebook and Twitter are around the corner thanks to ActivityPub and decentralized services. I'm bullish and have been with Mastodon. I mean, I use it constantly. I mean, I can't say that it's the end all be all of everything, but it's certainly something that has been a viable, very viable Twitter alternative for me, and that's not something that I thought was going to be easy to get to at all, and it worked. It absolutely worked for me. So I don't know. I know I'm probably the only one here who's into Mastodon, but that's me.
I'm not even heavy into Twitter, so I don't have a lot of opinion on it.
Yeah. So that's that, and then the last bit of news, Microsoft is expanding Game Pass. So several more countries, including in the Middle East and Latin America, now have Game Pass. Not that I think anybody right now is in those countries, but that's still happening, or it has happened. It's there. It's now available. If you didn't have it before, check. But you probably had it before. I don't even.
I wonder what the holdback was. Maybe infrastructure in order to support even more. Or
I'm guessing the lawyers. I'm guessing governments. I'm guessing legalities. That's
licensing
knowing what
and
I
stuff
know.
too. Maybe
It's really sticky. Even like when you like do giveaways and stuff like that, you got to be really careful. Like really careful. That's why I even asked them like this Visa giveaway that we're doing in conjunction with the Mando discussion. I said, well, which countries is this available to? They said it's anywhere that you can take Visa, basically. So, and they apart from a few countries, and I'm like, I don't think anybody listens from those countries, so I'm not too worried about it. You're not connected to this room in audio. You were. Just got to make sure that when you jump into the stream, you got to mute yourself because sometimes I might not catch it. Unless, of course, the discussion is active on tech or gaming or geekery or something of the like. That's it. That's all I have for that part of TLDR. Glendon, I think, has just a couple of tech deals on deck. We have many deals that usually flow through, though we are looking at looking to try to expand the deals and where we find those deals. I remember, because a lot of people use Amazon, but I remember signing up or knowing about a service that basically is just one service that creators use, and they just link to that, and then that third-party service manages all the affiliate deals. And I can't remember the name of those servers. I can't remember for the life of me what the name of that service was, because it would just be easier to just go to one service, and then they would have the links to all the popular stores. And otherwise you have to manage them independently, and it's not always easy, and you have to like apply for them independently, and it doesn't always scale. It becomes a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I actually don't have a deal today.
You don't? No deals? Well, that's the deal then.
That's the deal.
That's a good deal.
Because I have went through 32 pages today, and I keep finding the same stuff that I've found in Amazon over the past week. Sometimes what I'll do is I subscribe, or I watch Slick Deals. And I subscribe to certain things, and sometimes what'll happen is a third party vendor will have something on sale, and very often Amazon will match it. So that's another option. Even if you can't go to that first party vendor, like very often if it's a popular vendor, Amazon will match it almost immediately. Okay.
So if you find something, but that's at Best Buy or whatever, you can probably check on Amazon and find it on sale.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. Usually Amazon matches pretty quickly.
I went ahead and bookmarked Slick Deals, so I'll start going through.
Oh yeah, Slick Deals. Yeah. Slick Deals is I would say critical for finding a variety. It's how I found out, like right now there's a whole bunch of pop vinyl for sale on Amazon. And of course, if y'all, even without having any direct links to deals, if you shop on Amazon, if you go through our affiliate link, we'll get a small kickback. Just not a couple bucks here and there, but it's it's just as good as cheering or subbing or gifting a sub or donating. Only it doesn't really cost anything because you're already buying a product anyway. And especially if you can find something on sale, we still get the boost in the benefits. So thank you for using our affiliate link when you do get something on Amazon. That's a full Locker Gnome. It encompasses Locker Gnome, Chris Pirillo, Maker Deck. It's all one thing, just one effort. And yeah, is it KD Hedinger? Jedi did learn about Kentucky.
Yes.
Briefly. She was on the phone when I was out getting a pizza the other day. And she learned where Kentucky was. On the map, at least. But she doesn't know Kentucky Fried Chicken because by the time she was old enough, it was KFC. They got rid of the Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's just KFC. Like they're hiding
old
the
people
fried
know
part,
what it stands for.
Yeah.
No, she has no idea. She does. I don't think we even talk about KFC a lot either. But might as well support the stream with Amazon since Smile isn't a thing anymore. That's true. They took it away. I still don't know why. I mean, I'm sure they believe they had good reason for that, but
it was flimsy for the people that were really supportive of Smile. But you know, and if you're like, well, Chris, what's a link? You can just come in here into chat, you type in bang Amazon, and then the link spits back just like that. I have a wish list, though not a lot happens on that wish list. I will say that Catherine Grable, haven't seen her in a couple days, but she sent something on the wish list, so I'll be showcasing that this weekend for Star Wars Radar and Collector's Corner, like as I'm starting to stage like the laying things out on the desk to do my weekend desk tour. I had to redo the thumbnail, though, because I don't think the thumbnail I used was all that much of a hit. So I redid the thumbnail and put the Tenorion front and center, something geeky, gadgety, etc.
Yeah, I liked the pick. It was good with the Tenorion.
Well, I should have done that, but I should have done that in the first place, and I was silly not to. I should have, but it's like, well, let me try to be dramatic and go yuck. Maybe people will be interested in yuck. I guess people are not interested in yuck. Yuck must have been.
I'm just glad the Deoxit took care of it for you.
Yeah, the Deoxit really, the wheel clicks fine. I sprayed all the battery terminals again. I sprayed the wheel with copious amounts. I'm like, okay, just let me get it in there, and not like forever, but enough that whatever it did, whatever it tripped, it worked.
Yeah, it's
whatever
good
it
stuff.
was. Yeah, I would not have known about Deoxit, so that's going to be in my next What's on My Desk tour. And if you're not aware, basically every week on YouTube now, I'm doing a What's on My Desk, because I get stuff on the average week, right? Like this week, I've reprinted the Faker, but GC Laredo, aka Avo, aka the newest 3D printing addict, fellow fan of GPKs and Transformers, sent a whole bunch of he sent some new wax packs that I didn't have, and some unopened Series 1 wacky packages, the blind bag wacky packages. So he put them in these refrigerator tins, Garbage Pail Kids refrigerator tins. So we're going to have a lot of fun with those. Woohoo! Did Microsoft leak Windows 12 to the media? I don't think so.
No.
That's not a thing.
Heard.
I definitely would have heard of that.
I rumor it a lot, but I don't think that they're anywhere near.
I think they're going to be on Windows 11 for at least a little while, until they clean it up, and then they can start talking about Windows 12.
Well, they didn't clean it up in 10, so.
Oh my God!
You're more optimistic than I am. I'm just.
But they've come out and said directly, our plan with Windows 11 is to clean it up. So that's their mission, and they won't be until they finish that.
And yet they come in with this other search button.
But see, the thing is, I can't consider Windows 11 a finished product until they finish the fit and finish, right? Give it the spit and polish. I can't. How do you even consider that a finished product?
Nothing comes out of the oven done anymore.
But it's been so not done. How it's just tremendously not done.
Yeah.
It's not even a.
Well, the worst thing about that, I keep saying with no, I'm going to start to go on a rant, but I'll leave it at this. But is when Windows 11 was released, there were certain features in Windows 10 that were there that I lost when I went to Windows 11. Now they brought some of them back since H2 or 22 H2 update came back. They added a bit more back, but I was like, when I went to 11, did it feel like I took a step back from Windows 10? Like that shouldn't be. That, I don't know. I just didn't like that experience at all.
Sorry to hear it, but that's a great place to stop tonight's broadcast. Well, not the broadcast. The stream continues because we're typically talking tech 24 hours a day. Hey, Moss-Up, 7 days a week at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.